Hello. Today we're going to go over Acts 23. Paul's going to speak before the Sanhedrin, and then there's going to be a plot to kill Paul, and they're going to transfer him to Caesarea. So yesterday, Paul was arrested. The commander wanted to know exactly what the Jews were accusing Paul of. They released him and had all the chief priests assemble in the Sanhedrin, brought Paul before them. Paul said, "My brothers, I have fulfilled my duty to God in all good conscience to this day." The high priest had him smacked in the mouth. Then Paul said, "God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. You sit there and judge me according to the law, yet you yourselves violate the law by commanding that I be struck." People near Paul said, "How dare you insult God's high priest?" Paul said, "Brothers, I did not realize that he was the high priest, for it is written, do not speak evil about the ruler of your people." And then Paul calls out to the Sanhedrin, declaring that he's a Pharisee and that he stands on trial for the resurrection of the dead. He says this to a large group of Pharisees and Sadducees. It got so out of control that the commander had to get Paul out of there. He thought he'd be ripped to pieces. He ordered the troops to take him back down to the barracks. And that night the Lord came to Paul and said, "Take courage, as you testify about me in Jerusalem, so you must testify about me in Rome." In other words, you're just getting started, buddy. On the next day, a group of 40 Jews conspired against Paul. They decided that they were going to take an oath not to eat or drink anything until the commanders had agreed to kill Paul. They went to him saying, "We're ready to kill him now." But Paul's nephew catches word of this and runs to warn him. Paul has one of the centurions take his nephew to the commander. The centurion acquiesces, and he tells the commander, "Some Jews have agreed to ask you to bring Paul before the Sanhedrin tomorrow on the pretext of wanting more accurate information about him. Don't give in to them, because more than 40 of them are wanting to ambush him. They have taken an oath not to eat or drink until they have killed him. They are ready now, waiting for your consent to their request." The commander said, "Don't tell anyone you told me." This next part, I think, gives us a little bit of context of how connected Paul was. Because the commander says we're going to take 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen. That's 470 dudes. They're going to go to Caesarea with Paul so that he can be taken safely to the governor. And he wrote a letter to the governor, Felix. It says this man was seized because the Jews were going to kill him, but I've sent my troops to rescue him. I learned he's a Roman citizen. I wanted to know why they were accusing him. I found out their accusations had to do with questions about their laws, but there's nothing to charge against him. He doesn't deserve death or imprisonment. And so basically, I've sent all of them to you, Paul and his accusers, to lay the case out. So the 470 men go with Paul as far as Antipatris, and the cavalry stays there. The guys on horses, and everyone else goes back. They get to Caesarea, deliver Paul and the letter. The governor read the letter, learned that Paul was from Cilicia, and said, "I will hear your case when your accusers get here. Order that Paul be kept under guard in Herod's place." That is the end of chapter 23. Remember, don't simply just accept what people tell you. Go in there, verify for yourself, come to your own conclusions in prayer with the Lord. And remember to ask yourself, what are you doing with your salvation?